Yeah, Christian McCaffrey targeted 129 times in the passing game this year, man. You better, those linebackers need to have a big game. There's no doubt about
A
it.
different beast. I've been talking about that guy for years, and
Yes, you have, man. Yes, you have. There's no doubt about it. John, I wanted to mention this to you. I mentioned it at the Open with Jalen Hurts talking about Kevin Patullo. He said this, and I just want to hear what you thought of this comment. They asked Jalen about the lack of running. His running numbers are basically down across the board this year, and he says this: "No, the season has gone the way it has. The approach this year, the way the games have been called with this coordinator, with Coach KP, it's just kind of gone that way. I've taken it in stride and given my best with the position they've put me in." An interesting answer after kind of some of the reports from earlier in the year, John. If you remember, it was like Jalen doesn't want to run anymore. He kind of disputed that report at one of his press conferences. Um, what do you make of that answer, and what do you think the truth of that situation is?
I think the truth is that they're trying to manage him to get him healthy to get right here. And now it's Katie bar the door.
Right.
I think that was the whole plan. Um, and now it's back. And you're going to see the quarterback run game. And more, I don't mean you're going to see, like, you know, at most they would do 5 design quarterback runs. I'm not even talking about design runs. I'm talking about extending plays, running it himself, making the decision. That's back full bore. Um, and I think, yeah, I think that's. I mean, the truth is, it's part Jalen Hurts, part the team. Probably more the team than Jalen Hurts. But I mean, his history is his history, and he generally has gone into the playoffs with some kind of ailments. Um, the first season, pretty significant ankle injury. He showed up in a boot after the loss. Um, he had a shoulder, um, which he hurt in Chicago late in the season, forced him to miss some games. Had to play Week 18 that year. Didn't play well. Managed to get through it. He had a finger that he hurt in Week 18 against the Giants in the collapse year. Always dealing with something. He had a knee. This year, there's nothing obvious other than that little tweak he had a couple weeks ago with the knee. But he seemed fine. Um, so definitely trying to manage him to get to this point. Second time, I think he didn't end up playing 17 games, but he could have played 17 games, obviously, if they didn't rest him. So, yeah, I think the goal was to get him here healthy. And then, we talked about changes and routines and nothing changes. Well, things change, and that's one of the changes. Like
Yeah.
it's, there's no protection. There's no worried about next week because next week's not going to be there unless you win this week. So I think you're going to see him run when he needs to run.
Yep, I agree, and he's obviously very, healthy. And I don't know, some all these players deal with shit that you don't know about, but it does appear that Jalen Hurts is as healthy as he can be after 16 regular season games going into the postseason. Should be good there. John, how important do you think his running is? A lot of people put a lot of emphasis on that, like that he needs to do it. Maybe it's one of the reasons the offense has struggled this year. Do you see it that way as well?
Yeah, I think it's very important. I mean, yeah, I think the struggles offensively are mainly related to the lack of effectiveness of the run game compared to last season. Um, and it was never going to be as effective as last season. But you thought, well, traditional run game, maybe Saquon's not getting 2,000 yards, but maybe he's getting 1,500, and you could live with that. But it's way below that. Um, and that's again the traditional part of it. But Jalen's part of it, part of that, because when he's a threat, it makes it easier for Saquon to get space. because you have to respect him, especially in those RPR zone read, whatever you want to call it, looks. You have to respect that he's going to pull the ball. And if they put that back in play, which I think they will, I think that makes things easier for Saquon Barkley. And so, yeah, he's a big part. Even when he's not running the football, if the threat is there, he's a big part of it.
No doubt going to be a big thing to watch in this game. I think he's going to run the ball as well, and we'll find out how much. Speaking of running the ball on the other side, John, Christian McCaffrey, you mentioned, number 1 in the NFL, 413 touches this year. That's a lot of touches for Christian McCaffrey, man. I'm wondering how he holds up after this year. That's a freaking lot of touches, on par with what did Saquon have last year total in the regular season?
482, I think it ended up as through the playoffs.
Yeah,
I
in the
don't know.
regular season, it was probably just under 400.
Probably less than that. Yeah.
John, how do you deal with him, man? He got 2,126 all-purpose yards, second in the NFL behind only Bijan Robinson, more than Jonathan Taylor, James Cook, and Jahmyr Gibbs. He is a tremendous player, John. He really is. There's no doubt about that. And he's probably the toughest matchup for Vic Fangio and the Eagles defense. How do you think you manage him, John? How do you take it away in this ball game? Or if you can't take it away, which is unlikely but possible, how do you slow him down?
Well, I'm more concerned about the passing part of it, to be honest, than the running part of it. Not that he can't run the ball. He's a very good runner, but just the pass is so unique. The pass part of it is you just don't see it. So how do you prepare for it? And there's a couple. I mean, there's some, I always talk about, I don't want to go back to the nonsense of when they brought in Saquon Barkley, but there's a different level. Like when you talk about running backs as receivers, you're talking about they're good receivers for running backs. Christian's just a good receiver.
Yeah, right. He's good by any metric you weigh it against. Yeah.
So he can. It doesn't matter if you put a slot corner on it. Like if you put a corner, a lot of people say, well, that's the only reason I bring up Saquon is, well, you could use him as the third receiver.
Right, you say that's a day off for the corner.
Yeah, it's a complete day off. Not a day off with Christian McCaffrey. Even if you want to, and I want to say waste Cooper DeJean, which I don't think they will, because simply then you're elevating the lesser players, the San Francisco receivers. But say you wanted to put him on it. It's not a day off for Cooper by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, who's the ideal matchup for both of them? Like if you're Vic, who's ideal? I know Vic plays zone, so it's not like he throws man out there, very often. But who's the ideal matchup if you're Vic? All right, I feel better with this guy managing him. And then vice versa for Kyle. Who are you trying to exploit, to get McCaffrey the ball on that Eagles defense? How do you see it from both sides of the aisle there?
Well, it's got to be the linebackers, and that's the unfortunate part of it. Now the Eagles are better equipped than most because of Zach Bond, who's maybe the best coverage linebacker in the NFL, has been for 2 years. So they're better equipped than anybody else.
You don't think the use of Campbell makes sense, do you?
No, I just, I don't think they're going that route.
Yeah, probably too inexperienced, right?
It's just he trusts N'Kobe, so N'Kobe's going to be playing.
Yeah, I agree.
What you don't want though is that matchup. That's what Kyle will be trying to manipulate.
What, CMC on N'Kobe?
Yeah,
I agree.
I mean that would be that's a mismatch. I mean, he's a mismatch against Zach as well, but Zach is better equipped to at least limit the damage. Yeah, he's just really good. I mean, there's some players that are just all right. This guy's better than this guy, and you got to do the best you can, and that's where the zone stuff comes in, and you got to tackle well. So much of it is about him making the first guy miss. And the Eagles tackle well. So you just got to sort of limit the damage. Maybe your best friend is the fact that he is dealing with a bad back, and that has limited him, it seems, over the past couple of weeks. Hasn't been quite himself, so he's not completely healthy. That helps. And then you have the Kittle effect as well, because then you have to have probably Marcus Epps dealing with George Kittle. That's a mismatch. So it's going to be that interesting that's the interesting back and forth with, Vic and Kyle, how you manipulate, how you do things. But the lack of the outside receivers is going to really help Vic do some different things, I think, because they're not going to be as concerned with those outside receivers, especially if Pearsall doesn't play.
Yeah, Pearsall not playing would be big. I mean, who would it be? I mean, who are they trying use? I mean, I know they have Jawan Jennings, who, I think there's a good point you made yesterday. I know he's not A.J. Brown, but he can play ball. I mean, he's definitely a decent.
Oh yeah,
player.
he's a good player.
I think sometimes people fall into the, it's not one of the big names, so he's, so maybe he's not. He's a solid player. But after that, John, I mean, let's say Kyle wants to take advantage of Adoree Jackson. Who's he going to use to take advantage of Adoree Jackson?
Well, they have Kendrick Bourne. I mean, they have NFL receivers. They have Demarcus Robinson, who's been around for a long time. But again, if you're not fearful of those guys, but you can't you can't just dismiss them as well and say, well, this isn't AJ Brown, so he can't make a play. They can all make plays, and they've all made plays, and that's why they've been as good offensively as they have been. But it's nice when you don't have to worry about that big play threat that they had a couple years ago with, at first Debo, Brandon Ayuk, players like that.
Well,
and also the kid who's played when Kittle's been injured, which is a lot. Jake Tongas is pretty good as well, so can't dismiss him. He's played well at tight end.
Yeah. Yeah, Christian McCaffrey targeted 129 times in the passing game this year, man. Those linebackers need to have a big game. There's no doubt about it.
A different beast. I've been talking about that guy for years.
Yes, you have, man. Yes, you have. There's no doubt about it. All right, good stuff there. Any other parts of their offense, John? I think you mentioned their special teams, which is a good point. How do you kind of view Brock Purdy? What's your take on him coming into this game?
I like the matchup against Brock Purdy because I don't think to beat Vic, you have to be patient. And I don't think he's patient enough to do it. Like he's gonna limit explosive plays. He's gonna force you to go down the field, in a methodical fashion. And they have the capability to do that especially with McCaffrey in the middle of the field. They have the ability to do that, but he's a guy who's going to take his shots, and I think he gets antsy when those shots aren't there. And I think when that happens, some of the mistakes start to pile up. And then, of course, like any quarterback, but I hesitate to say, well, if you get him off his spots and speed him up, I mean, that's every quarterback. So, and I think that Eagles front is just playing at such a high level. But here's an instance when you talk about that NFC Championship game, their backup's just as good as their starter. I mean, he might be better.
That's true. And you heard Vic say that yesterday.
Yeah, so
it's an interesting tidbit, right? He's where he should have started.
Yeah.
Mac Jones.
Well, Kyle wanted him.
I know, and they made him.
And Vic knows it.
I know. I mean, that is egregious. Think about how good that roster would be if they didn't waste 3 first-round picks on Trey Lance.
Yep. And he wanted Mac Jones, and he could have had him, but it's it's not like that's why it's not going to be. I mean, if Jalen Phillips comes and tears his elbow ligament, Mac Jones is just coming in, and they're not going to miss a beat. not like the championship game.
No doubt. Good stuff. I like Brock Purdy, but I do think, he is prone to turnovers. And if they work the middle of the field like no other, John. That's where they live, and that's also where they could die. So I'm waiting to see what Vic will do to try and, force Brock. That's why I think Jalen Carter has such a big impact on this game. He gets the Brock. I'm telling you right now, the Eagles defense will have a takeaway or two in this football game. Should be pretty good to see there. Looking forward, obviously, to that part of it, the chess match, the game within the game. John, I want you to give me your educated opinion on this, or I guess educated guess. If the Eagles, and I'm going to do this for both teams, if the Eagles win the game, it will be because of what?
Talent. I mean, they're just better. They just have better personnel. That San Francisco's too banged up. I don't even say if. I take the if off. They're going to win the game. San Francisco's too deficient attrition-wise. They're just, I'd have a different take on it if Fred Warner was there and Nick Bosa was there, but they're not.
But what will execute? Like what will they be executing well if they win the game, in your opinion? Offense, or do you think it'll just be a suffocating defensive performance? I mean, how do you see that part of it?
Well, I think it'll be a clean game.
This defense is ripe to take advantage of. They are literally the worst defense in the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think. Again, they similar to Seattle, they play a certain style, and I don't think they're deviating from their style. So I don't think they're going to turn into high flying Walendas. They're just going to be business-like and do what they do. They're going to run the football a little bit better. That'll open up the passing game a little bit. They're going to not turn the football over. Defensively, they're going to limit San Francisco more than most teams limit San Francisco, maybe not to the level of Seattle. And then special teams is big. You can't give up big special teams plays because they have a good returner. They have the Pro Bowl. They have two of the best coverage guys, which nobody pays attention to. One of them's hurt, though. We'll see if he plays. They're good on special teams. That to me is the outlier of the game for a couple reasons. One, nobody pays attention. Two, that's what they have to do. They have to come up with something to get themselves in this game, because they're like the Lions were last year. They've hit the tipping point. They're too banged up. And I think you saw it in their faces. That game against Seattle was so big because remember, not only do you have the number one seed, you essentially win week one. You don't have to play in week one. Right. And they were devastated by that loss. That was, I don't want to call it their Super Bowl because they were trying to win. They're trying to go to the Super Bowl. But that was, and you saw the same thing last year with Minnesota, Detroit. Minnesota loses, put everything into that game, show up, lay an egg. I think the same thing is going to happen this week. Even more confident of that because not only do they have that laying the egg in the big situation, but they're also too banged up on top of it. It's untenable for San Francisco.
We'll see. You're confident over there, J-Mac. If the 49ers win the game, it will be because of what?
Special teams. Been saying it. Kickoff return, punt return, block kick, block punt. Special teams. Keep it close. Make a play on special teams.
I think it's that third down in the run game. The Eagles have been an amazing defense since week 10, only 14.5 points a game, but they have been pretty low on the totem pole and giving up running yards. And to me, this is a time of possession game type, for the 49ers. If they can move the sticks and keep getting McCaffrey touches, convert on third downs, and stay on the field, I think they're going to be able to, wear that Eagles defense down a little bit more. We've seen that happen a couple of times this year where, the offense doesn't move the ball and the defense has to play so many plays that by the end of it, they're gassed, they're tired, and that's where they can get got. So I'm looking at third down, John, in the running game. If they're able to run the ball I think that's a big advantage for the 49ers.
Well, I think everybody looks at the Chicago game, but Chicago's a power running team. San Francisco is not a power running team.
It would be a much different style.
Yeah, I don't think that translates. Now they can run the ball effectively. They have
McCaffrey. They can still run it.
Yeah, they have a better running back than they do, but they just have a different style. So I don't think it's going to wear down. The wearing down aspect, which is really, I think, really only happened once, was about the power. They got out physical, which is rare with the Eagles. And part of it is Jalen Carter was not playing with shoulders, but they just got out physical and beat up, which again is very rare in this era. But that's not San Francisco's style. So I'm not as concerned with that as other people. I am concerned with Christian McCaffrey, but for different reasons.
Yeah.
More of the passing game.
Third down, I think is going to be important too. I think they're the number one third down offense in football.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's mainly about him and Kittle moving the sticks.
Yeah, right.
In the passing game. They're not going to be the 3rd and 7 run team. That's just not Kyle's style. That's not their style.
Should be good, man. In Philly this weekend, John, I did see a weather report. The rain should be cleared up by game time, but it's going to rain all weekend leading into the game. But it's apparently going to be wrapped up by game time. You think that's a factor at all? I did see that maybe the wind could be there. Let me check if the weather has changed on my phone at all. I'll double check that for you guys. Right now it says Sunday is rain with a high of 46, but it does say the rain will finish pretty early in the morning. So let me look at the wind too, because the wind is big. Now it says 4 to 13 miles an hour with gusts of up to 30 miles an hour. How much could a weather?
That's weird. That's weird for 4 to 13. You usually don't have gusts at 30.
Yeah.
So that's my only concern with the weather. You've seen it multiple times this year.
Man, John, it feels like every Eagle home game, man. Yeah. This weather's been a factor.
Rain, unless it's an absolute monsoon.
And again, it was in Buffalo. That was freaking crazy.
And again, it's more the wind than the rain. But the Eagles should have the advantage. Obviously, that they're playing on their home field. So any aspect of weather should be advantage Eagles in that type of situation. Not that San Francisco is a dome team, not that Santa Clara in this case is, Candlestick. We used to be, some terrible weather. What is that? The warmest, the coldest winter I ever had was a summer in San Francisco. It was a famous, I think, Charles Dickens quote. You get shitty weather out there too, but not like the Northeast in January.
Northeast weather has been interesting this year. All right, good stuff. We're interested to see how that kind of plays out. We got a super chat we'll get to. Hour number 2, we'll kind of look at the big picture of the playoff weekend this weekend. A lot of good games. I'll take John. I'm going to make John do some power ranking, kind of give me who he thinks in the playoffs, and then we'll also look at some quarterbacks in the playoffs. Jalen spoke about his playoff experience and how important that is, and I thought his answer on that was great. A lot of other people have to get opinions or get advice from people who've lived it. Jalen's like, I've lived it. I can rely on my own experience, which is a good thing. Here's Abe. Abe, what's up, brother? Thanks for the super chat. I love a conspiracy. Apparently, Alan Eck is officiating the game.
Oh, yeah.
He's a native. Eagles are 8-1 while he's officiating, while the Niners are 3-6.
Well, Abe, the league hates the Eagles, so that doesn't translate. You got a Eagles fan officiating the game. Yeah, that'll be more of the San Francisco conspiracy this week. They're already latching on to that. The San Francisco fans.
If I'm not mistaken, Abe, did I see you comment earlier that he was the ref when Quinyon Mitchell was throwing punches at the Pittsburgh Steelers last year, and he didn't get called for any of them. Is that right? Maybe there's some truth to this one, Johnny Mac. I like a good conspiracy here and there too.
It's a conspiracy for the Eagles, though. So
yeah, it's good. I'll take
it. It goes against the narrative that everybody is against the Eagles.
Well, if the Eagles can play physical in this game, and you know, that's a big advantage. You know, obviously every game has a personality. Every official's got different tendencies, and that does play a factor. So if the Eagles can be handsy, especially with the corners, that's a good thing, Abe.
With those numbers with officials, and we got our buddy NFL Rev Stats, the Eagles have good numbers against everybody because they win a lot. So, you know. So it's one of those things. Well, they're this record with this and this record with, well, they've won a lot over the past 3-4 years. So most of those numbers tend to be good. But yeah, Alan Eck is a local guy. For many years, like I always say, almost all of the NBA officials were Northeast Philly guys. I'm exaggerating, but there are a whole bunch of Northeast Philly guys who became NBA officials. Never really helped the Sixers that much, but they were all Sixers fans growing up.
A lot of people were Sixers fans growing up, man.
Or Warrior fans, if you want to go way back. But
yeah, it's true. I hear that a lot, though. Like even you, I don't think you're a fan of any PA team, but you were a fan of the Sixers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, big Sixer fan growing up. It's pretty dope. All right, good stuff there. John, let's look at this big picture NFC. First, I'll get you to give some comments on a few games. We did it yesterday at the end of the show, but I do want to elaborate a little bit on the boy. This AFC is so interesting. I mean, I know it's like almost exciting and not exciting at the same time. That's kind of how I feel about it. But the unknown excites me a little bit. We'll go in order, John. First game of the weekend for the NFL. Rams at Panthers. What do you think of that game?
Yeah, the Panthers are not a playoff team.
The Panthers. Listen, that game's in Carolina, and the Rams lost in Carolina earlier this year.
Yeah, don't care. They are not a playoff team. They are not prepared for this. The Rams have not played well down the stretch. Devontae Adams will be back. They'll be a different team. They're going to win that game easily. And that's going to matter. And I'll tell you why in a second. For the Eagles, it's going to matter.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think I know where you're going with it. John, game number 2, Packers-Bears.
The Green Bay Packers are going to beat the Chicago Bears. The Green Bay, let me repeat that. This is my lock of the week for all you betting people. Lock of the week.
Man, you've been a Bears hater since
Green
the summer. I mean,
Bay,
you just debated the summer about the Bears.
Green Bay Packers are going to beat the Chicago Bears. They would have beat the Chicago Bears a couple of weeks ago.
Yes, they would have.
In Chicago. They were pretty much handling that game until Jordan Love got his concussion. And they're playing terrible, and I get it. And they shut it down at the end of the season. They weren't playing people because they couldn't go anywhere. And they've been a disappointment when they've been in the playoffs the past couple of years. Same thing I'm talking about. Well, Carolina's just not a good football team. I'm not saying the Bears are bad. They have talented players. They're just not ready for this spot. They're not playing well at the end of the season either. They're going to lose that game. It's going to reseed everything. And that means Green Bay has to go to Seattle. And the Los Angeles Rams are coming to Philadelphia.
Ooh.
The Eagles are going to win. The Eagles are going to win. And so Nick's, it's going to work out not playing the starters because you're going to get that second home game anyway. But yeah, that's what's going to happen.
Packers are the favorite in Vegas, and that game's on the road. So
is that fucking amazing, by the way? Has anybody noticed that? Yeah. The Green Bay Packers are the favorites over the Chicago Bears. Ask yourself. Now, I'm not a big, Vegas knows, but that is a weird freaking line.
And yeah, they're pretty close. Vegas, I'm not going to say Vegas knows, but they do know. They're normally pretty freaking close, Vegas.
That Chicago's got some limitations, man. So that's why. And by the way, if Chicago does it, because Green Bay's not playing well anyway, I would not be concerned about going to Chicago the next week, other than want to go on the road and you don't want to play in that weather and all that stuff. But as an opponent, I'm just talking from a football perspective. I would not be fearful of that matchup.
That's going to be interesting. Rams and Philly in round 2.
Now the Rams, even on the road, we'll talk about that next week. But
yeah, that's going to be interesting. We'll see about that. John, moving into the Sunday games, you got your first AFC game of the playoffs. Bills at Jaguars. What are your thoughts on that one, man? That's an interesting one. You got obviously Josh Allen, the one major pedigree quarterback in the playoffs for the AFC this year, and then versus the Jags, who have come on really strong this year, offensively and defensively. Really good season for the Jags. What do you got in that game?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to pick the upset in this one as well with Buffalo because of that experience.
Jags, man.
I'm taking the Jags. I think they're just significantly better.
Me too.
And it's going to be interesting. The AFC is about a bunch of unproven teams, so they're all unproven. But I just think Jacksonville's significantly better. I don't think Buffalo's good. I think they're a mediocre team with a great quarterback.
Yeah, great.
And they have James Cook is pretty impressive, but I just think they're not that good, the rest of the roster.
All right, so I'm taking the Jags with you. The only one we differ on, so my picks are Rams. I get the Bears. I'm taking the Bears. I know your lock of the week is the Packers. I like it. I'm going Bears, and I'm going to take the Jags. Next game, John, is Eagles-Niners. We talked about this one, obviously, at length, and we will continue to. But your quick thought on who wins that football game?
Yeah, Eagles are winning. Tipping point.
People are getting some PTSD from your confidence. I think you were very confident. What game was it that you were like, oh, they're going to win this game? And you said it like on the post-game show the week before. And then I think it was the Bears game. It might have been the Bears game.
Tipping point. San Francisco. Attrition. I don't think people know how poor what they're going to be lining up on defense is.
People are calling it the J-Mac kiss of death, the confidence in the bird.
Well, I don't care. First of all,
either. I'm with you.
I'm not. Well, I know a lot of people. I get that in games. Oh, don't say that. Don't say. I'm not superstitious.
Oh, that's the worst. I'll tweet something and someone will be like, "Oh, don't tweet."
Yeah, I know.
Oh, yeah, there's something to do with the game.
I don't believe in superstition. I don't have control over any of this. So I'm very free about saying what I think is going to happen. It's not going to impact the game whatsoever, what I say. I'm just giving you my honest opinion. San Francisco is too banged up to compete. Probably be a different conversation if they weren't, but not. They're too banged up to compete.
Will the offense take advantage?
Well, in different ways. They're not going to turn into a high volume offense.
Well, I know, but that's why I'm wondering why you're putting so much on their injury. I know they're not that good, but
because they'll be able to run the ball more effectively than they typically do because the players on the other side just aren't very good. They'll be able to pass the football more effectively than they usually do because the players on the other side are just not that good. And they'll be better on offense. But they're never going to – you don't just turn into, a grinded-out team into a high-flying Paul Westhead run-the-fast break team because of a shitty opponent. You still play your style. And the Eagles are still going to play their style. So that limits them, just like it limited Seattle. But if you watch that Seattle game, even though the score doesn't look that bad, if you watch the game, and I watched the game from minute 1 through minute, you never got the feeling San Francisco was in that game because they would move the ball at will and then they missed a couple field goals. And even with that, usually that affects you. You're being conservative. Didn't matter because they were just too banged up.
Interesting. Will be interesting to see. I have the Eagles as well. All right, so me and John are on in lockstep on 3 of the 4 picks so far. John, the night game on Sunday, Chargers at Patriots. This one feels like kind of an easier pick, but I guess the Patriots are still a little unknown. What do you think in that game?
Yeah, similar to what I just said about San Francisco. I mean, yeah, I have a little bit of concern with the lack of provenness with all those AFC teams, the top AFC teams, but Chargers are just so brutal on the offensive line.
I mean, they can't block anybody.
Yeah,
run, pat, it doesn't matter. They're traffic cones, literally.
So even if New England doesn't play their best game, they're going to win. They're going to win.
I got the Pats winning too. All right, so we're both on the Pats in that game. All right, and then the final game of the wild card playoff slate: Texans at Steelers Monday night in Pittsburgh. What do you make of that one?
Yeah, that's an interesting game. Kind of rooting for the Steelers because I like Kenny Gainwell. He's had a great year for them, but I think that Houston defense is just too good.
It's tough, man.
Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter, and that pass rush, and then you got the secondary is tremendous as well. It might be the best defense in football. Our old buddy D'Amico Ryans down there running things. I think Houston, and I don't know. I didn't even know who's favorite in that game.
I don't know. I'd have to look at what the line is in that game. Let me look it up.
Obviously, Pittsburgh's at home, but Houston's a better team. I think Houston's going to win the game. But weather could be an impact on that as well. You're talking about a dome team. And C.J. Stroud going out. Now he played at Ohio State, so you can go back to that.
Cut the line by 2.5 on the road.
Don't know what the Pittsburgh weather is going to be, but I just think Houston's much better from a talent perspective.
Yeah, it opened at 2.5. It's 3 now. So Texans are the favorite in that game on the road. So that's a major Texans line. I'm going to take the Texans there as well. I'm kind of with you. I kind of would like to see Mike Tomlin get the win and Aaron Rodgers and Kenny Gainwell, but I don't think they're going to be able to. Although, John, I'll tell you what, that Texans offense is not very good.
No, it's not. Yeah, they're definitely more, but I look at it from the other standpoint. Like at this stage, Rodgers isn't stretching the field like he used to, although they will get DK Metcalf back. So maybe that'll change some things. Maybe that'll help them. But boy, that pass rush. My guess is at this stage, he did the same thing with Myles Garrett. A lot of people thought he was trying to prevent him from getting the sack record. I think he's just trying to prevent from not being killed at 40, whatever years old.
Yeah, literally.
The same thing is going to take with Will and Daniil. It's like that pass rush is so good. He's going to everything's going to be underneath, out quickly. And I think it's going to be really difficult for the Steelers to move the football.
All right, those are the games this weekend. Those are the 6 games. Me and John on lockstep on all of them except that Packers-Bears game.
And that's my lock of the week. That's my lock of the week. The Eagles aren't my lock of the week.
I'm not tailing you on your lock of the week. Hey, me and you have been debating the Bears since last summer. Don't you remember me and you used to bitch about people would be like, why the fuck are you guys debating Ryan Poles of all things?
Yeah, well, people think I hate the Bears because they've been bad for so long. I've given the Bears tons of credit. I just don't think they're ready.
They're not a great defense, and they're not. And but they can run the ball, man. I think Ben Johnson obviously gives them an advantage. Caleb Williams, I don't know. He's come along. He still has some problems, but that dude's got some immense talent. The problem with him is he plays terrible for 3/4 of every game, and then he'll turn it on for a quarter and try and go get the win.
That's the thing. I think everybody, because Green Bay was so bad at the end of the season, I think everybody forgets they weren't playing anybody. They shut Love
they lose?
down.
Did they lose 3 straight or 4 straight to end the year?
They lost 3, I think, but I'd have to look it up. But they completely shut down Love once he got that concussion, and they lost the Bears game. And they wouldn't have shut him down, by the way, if
They
they
lost 4 straight.
Yeah, 4. So I think everybody looks at that and says, well, they're done. They're basically, but again, all of a sudden they pop up as the favorite. What does that tell you? Yeah, I just, and they were going to win that. They were going to win that game, man. They were completely outplaying the Bears, and the Bears needed an onside kick still to win it. Now, how often are you going to get an onside kick?
Yeah, not often.
Yeah, I just think they're a better team.
And the good news, the interesting part about the way this playoff is set up, other 2 NFC games are both Saturdays. So the Eagles will know exactly where they're going with a win, depending on how those 2 games play out. The way John has it, they'd play the Rams. The way I have it, they'd play the Bears in Chicago. If you want to be at home, take the Rams.
By the way, little hint, I would rather play the Bears in Chicago than the Rams in Philadelphia.
Me too.
That's a little foreshadowing for next week because we will be talking about football, despite all the superstitious people. Because the Eagles are beating the 49ers. Not quite my lock of the week. That's Green Bay. But very close.
The JMac confidence is oozing through the screen right now, folks. All right, good stuff there, Johnny Mac. John, a couple other things here I want to do on the full playoff picture. Let's start on the NFC side. Power rank these teams for me, man. I do not think that the seeding is even close to the correct power rankings for the team. So a lot of people will look at the seedings. Let's do power ranks. NFC, you got 7 teams. You can do it in whatever order you'd like, John. Who is let's start with number 7. Who do you think is the worst NFC playoff team?
I got to go backward. Well, definitely Carolina. I mean, that's easy. Definitely Carolina. It's the worst team. They're not a playoff team. I mean, what did they finish 8 and 9?
Yeah, 8 and 9. Not good.
I mean, there's a bunch of teams better than them that didn't make the playoffs. I mean, literally 3 or 4 teams that didn't make the playoffs are better than they are.
It gets interesting after that. Who do you got at 6?
Well, power rankings are a little bit different. So how are we doing this? Like, as who played better for the season or who's going to be good in the playoffs?
Whatever you think is the most relevant. I mean,
I'm gonna do the playoffs because I don't really care at this stage. Everybody's
I think you're right. I heard Jalen Hurts say yesterday it's a new season.
Yeah, everybody's 0-0. So I think right now, because of the attrition, 6 is San Francisco.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that too.
And that's just because of the attrition. Because they're a better team. That's my point. They'd be higher. But right now, where we stand today, they're 6.
I kind of agree. I'm between them and the Packers there. Who do you got at 5?
5 is Chicago.
Ooh, okay. You're going Chicago below Green Bay. I get what you're doing here.
Yeah, I picked
Green Bay. Just picking the win, yeah. So I guess you got to be consistent there.
And then 4 is Green Bay.
3 would be who?
3 is the Philadelphia Eagles, which are the 3rd seed.
And then 2 and 1.
Number 2 is the Los Angeles Rams. And then number 1 is those Seattle Seahawks.
They are good right now. I tell you what, speaking of those Seahawks, so real quick, John's got Seahawks 1, Rams 2, Eagles 3, Packers 4, Bears 5, 49ers 6, Carolina 7. That's pretty good, John. It's about right where I am with you. The thing of that Seahawks team, John, they ought to take a page out of Jalen Hurts' book. You got such a good roster. You got such a good defense. You got two running backs. You got, dude, Sam Darnold, you need to play risk averse, brother. All right. I don't need you to win us the game, but you cannot lose us the game. And he sometimes has a propensity to do that, John, with big turnovers and big moments.
Yeah. I mean, that narrative's not going to change until he gets to the Super Bowl. And we'll see if he gets there. But
yeah, but I mean,
I don't like having the ability to throw the football and being risk averse. I don't like that.
Yeah, but I mean, look, like it's less about him being a pumpkin and more just about there actually is some merit to the way the Eagles play, even if you can throw. I mean, if you look at the way teams lose in the playoffs, a turnover can break a team. One turnover in the playoffs can change everything. I mean, I believe that
I agree.
if Jalen Hurts doesn't fumble that ball in Super Bowl 57, which was kind of a fluke fumble, it wasn't even like he was sitting in the pocket. It was a funny snap.
Oh, completely fluke
fumble. I think they win that football game without that. You know,
I don't agree. I've heard people say that because of the score, and obviously, 7 points. I mean, there's nothing. Every play affects the next play. There's nothing in the second quarter that's going to cost you a close game. You got to make plays in the fourth quarter. Baron Cepas could punt the ball if they didn't blow two coverages. If they didn't give there's so many plays where they could have won the game. The Bradbury play, the whether you think it was interference or not, so many plays. I can't go back to the second quarter and say, yes, obviously it impacted the game, but I don't think it cost them the game because I've heard so many people say, well, they lost by this and it doesn't work that way. That's not how it works.
But my point is people might debate and argue how much Jalen means to certain wins for the Eagles. One thing you can't argue, Jalen Hurts very, very rarely loses the team the game. He doesn't cost the team the game with the way he plays. Might not put up crazy stats. Some people might say, hey, he's carried. Well, I don't really give a shit because he doesn't lose the game for the team. I think Sam Darnold's got to take a page out of that book, John. He cannot afford to turn the ball over in the postseason.
Well, I think, turnovers are a big part of it. I think turnovers are important in any game. I mean, that should be obvious. The question is, from the Eagles' perspective, it's been very successful. But the Eagles, I think there's a bunch of stuff. Like I don't know what Seattle does, but I know they haven't played that way all season. So the Eagles practice risk averseness.
Yeah, that's true. So if they
have all these circuits, ball security circuits that they run at every single practice. I mean, from training camp to, through the Super Bowl, if they go back to the Super Bowl, every single practice, they practice it. Do they practice it? I don't think they practice it because they've had a high-flying offense at times and a high-flying passing game, and Jackson Smith and Jigba's been off the charts. And so I don't think you don't just pick it up and say, oh, play like Philadelphia plays.
Yeah, that's fair. I agree with that. I mean, you look at Darnold, though. They have 14 picks this year. The funny thing about that team is, to me, it's not even about Darnold being a pumpkin, my take on it. I agree with what you're saying. If you don't practice it, you can't just go to it in the playoffs. But that first game versus the Rams, John, that they lost, Darnold had 3 picks in that game, and they still nearly won the football game. That's how good his team is around him. Let the team around you win the game. You don't even have to go and win the game. You don't have to put the team on your back. You don't have to make the toughest throws in the world. Get to the next play. Get to the next drive. Don't cost your team a game. Rely on that defense. I think that would be the right way for
Well,
Seattle.
that's the give and take. Like he's a big, they have a good team, but he's a big part of the reason they won 14 games. And his ability to hit windows that other quarterbacks can't hit. I'm just looking at his numbers: 4,000 yards, 8.5 yards per attempt.
Yeah, which is big.
25 touchdowns last year at 35 touchdowns, 99.1 passer rating. Last year was 102.5. Like, this guy can play. Now, I agree with you. Interceptions too high. And there's a give and take, and that's what we discuss all the time here. If you're going to be a higher volume passing team, you're gonna have more interceptions. Now, he's got to make better decisions in big moments, but I don't think you turn into the Eagles with that type of passing offense. I don't see. But Mike McDonald's a defensive guy. Maybe he does. Maybe he tries to do it. I think if they do that, ultimately it bites him in the ass. But
are they high volume though? I mean, Darnold had 477 attempts and Jalen had 454. It's a different style. Yes, Jalen doesn't push the ball in the window.
How many? It's 4,048 passing yards, 8.5 yards per attempt. I mean, they're trying to get the ball down the field. Yeah, that's the difference.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fair.
I mean, they're Smith and Jigba's best receiver in the league this year. Big play after big play. Yeah, he's a high volume thrower. He's proven that.
We'll see what they end up doing. All right, John, over to the AFC side here. It's going to be a little tougher, I think, to power rank these teams. Who do you got? Let's go number 7. Going back.
Number 7 to me is the Chargers, no doubt.
Yeah, I agree. That offensive line is so bad. I don't think people who don't watch other games, as you always say, realize how bad that offensive line is. They always love to blame Herbert. It's amazing Herbert's done what he's done with that offensive line this year because they are awful right now.
Yeah. And they'll be really good. Keep an eye on that team next year because they'll be really good because Joe Alt will be back and Rashawn Slater, and they'll probably fix some of the interior. And that'll be a team to look out for. But right now, similar to San Francisco, untenable from an injury standpoint. 6, Pittsburgh.
Yep, I agree.
I don't think very good team. 5 for me is Buffalo. Not a fan.
Texans because I'm not a fan of the offense, but the defense is too good. I agree with you. Buffalo is a better pick there.
Yeah, not a fan of Buffalo. Then I'm going Texans at 4. And then it's a crapshoot between the three good unproven teams.
Yeah, right. Jacksonville, Denver, and New England.
And then it becomes what's your favorite flavor? I think of the 3, Jacksonville's the best team, so I'm putting them number 1.
All right, Jacksonville 1.
I'm putting New England 2, and I'm putting Denver 3.
Wow, all right. Who do you think plays the best brand of football for the playoffs? Like, I like what you did in the NFC where you're like, forget the regular season. That's what I like about Denver. That defense gets takeaways. That defense is suffocating.
Yeah, but I don't like the quarterback. I don't like him. You talk about a mistake maker. Like, you're talking that guy's going to make mistakes in big spots. That guy's going to make mistakes. And Trevor's been around for a while. He said everybody, well, he made mistakes in the playoffs 3 years ago. Well, maybe he learned from it. Again, experience, what Jalen Hurts was talking about. Doesn't have a ton of it, but he has some.
None of those guys. The only one who's there who had experience is Trevor, right?
Yeah. And he's been playing, obviously, much longer than those guys. And I just think Drake May's better than Bo Nix. I mean, I think most people would be on board with that. So, yeah, I think Jacksonville is the most well-rounded team. That's why I pick them number one.
Can you imagine if they get to the Super Bowl, man? That would be crazy. Jacksonville in the Super Bowl.
Well, I always thought
for Doug Peterson, man, he helped build that team.
Yeah, well, if you're, it's one of those things. If you're bad for a long period of time, you keep drafting high, and all of a sudden you wake up one day.
Changed the culture, though. I think at least they went from a perennial loser, to at least they knew how to win.
Well, I think they still have a shitty culture. No offense.
It's definitely better.
Okay.
Definitely better now.
And that's part of the problem why you don't want to pick them, because I don't think it's good.
When Doug got hired there initially, it was a travesty. I mean, they were.
Oh yeah, I don't think I don't think it's been a good organization. Let's put it kindly.
Yeah.
And that probably hasn't changed. And look, if you're talking about Mike Vrabel and Sean Payton versus Liam Cohen, I mean, which one doesn't belong? But I just think they have the best collection of players. I think they have a really good team.
Dude, they got a really good team. Really good defense. I mean, they have players all over that defense.
And for people who listen to the show faithfully, and I'm glad you do, I hope you heard that. I'm defaulting to the team I think has the best personnel, because it's players first.
I think you're sleeping a little bit on Denver. I'm not going to lie. Just because of Bo. That defense is fucking nasty, dude. That defense can change playoff games.
Yeah, I'm not as big on. I think Houston's better defensively, number one.
Yeah, it's true.
Houston to me is the best.
I guess I'm doing the same thing for Denver that you're doing for the Texans. I don't believe in that Texans offense even a little bit.
Yeah. And then even with here in Philadelphia and Vic, and we talked about that at the beginning of the show, I still think, even though things have shifted dramatically, like if you have a good offense, which is becoming smaller and smaller group of teams, which is why the NFL will be changing a bunch of rules in the upcoming years. If you have a good offense, I still think, and you bring your A game, you still have the advantage over a good defense. But
I agree.
Very, very small window. Because you got to be able to pass protect. That's number one. And then if you have the high level quarterback and you're doing everything right, you're going to beat the best defense. The best offense is going to beat the best defense.
Playoff numbers, though, man. Offensive numbers go down in the playoffs, John.
Well, that's because there's not.
Yeah, they're great. There's good defenses mostly left.
Yeah, there's good defenses and there aren't a lot of good offenses. But like if the Rams get clicking, that's why I fear the Rams. Now, I don't even know if Stafford's healthy. He might not even be healthy because he hasn't been playing well down the stretch. And he's an older guy. A lot of factors come into it. But
that dude can sling the rock, Matt Stafford. That dude can sling it. I'm right. You're right, though. I don't know how the back's holding up. You remember that people don't even know how many games he would play this year. Then he's been dominating. Maybe it's not holding as good.
Yeah. So, but I think, everybody's in that agent of chaos mindset of, these guys who just blitz from the buses. And that's not vague, but there's so many of them. And when you play that way, like when you're playing a bad offense, and there's been a lot of bad offense in the NFL this year with some of these young quarterbacks not being prepared to play. There's been a lot of bad offense. You look like $1 million. I mean, you look defensively like, wow, how could anybody ever score on this guy or this guy? And then Look at the Super Bowl last year. You're bringing the house against a team operating at a high level, and you're not getting home, and you are fucked.
Yep.
Now, it's got to be that sweet spot.
Yeah, right. What's the blitz? What are the teams that are blitzing the most of these defenses? Because that's a good point. Like, if there's a defense that's relied on the blitz all year and it's not able to work as well, that could completely change. Versus a defense like the Eagles, like, I think they're so much more sound because that's not how they win. They don't win by blitzing. They win by playing good, sound defense. That, to me, translates to playoff football more than being able to blitz and have success on a given week. Agree or
Well,
not?
it depends. I mean, Kansas City won a bunch of Super Bowls just blitzing from, the buses. So it depends on the season.
It didn't work too good for them last year.
No, as Jalen Hurts once said, might not get it's not going to get you till it gets you. Eventually, everything's going to get you. I'm a big Flores guy. I talk about him all the time, man. When they're clicking, whoo, it looks like just smothering. And then you see the Eagles get him for 158.3. Eagles aren't as bad as people think offensively.
You've been saying that all week.
Yeah, but I digress. And again, that's contextual compared to some of these bad offenses around the NFL.
So per Sharp Football, the top blitzing teams in the NFL, only one of them is in the playoffs. Vikings are the number one. Makes sense, Flores. Falcons, Broncos, they're the one. They're 31.9% blitz. That's heavy. Chiefs are 4 and Dolphins are 5. And then Buccaneers are outside. Steelers are the next at 29.6. Bears at 28.2. And then if you go to the other side, Eagles and Rams are two of the lowest blitzing teams. Eagles are third to last at 18.5%, right around Vic Fangio's normal number. And the Rams are only blitzing 18.1% this year.
Yeah, what do they have in common? Good defensive fronts.
Yep.
They don't have to blitz.
Exactly right. Chargers 18.9, Packers 21%, Bills 21%, Seahawks 21%, 49ers 21%, Texans 21%. Jaguars 25.8. That's going to be interesting. Boy, I feel like, John, do you think this playoff picture is more fun because of the unknown, or do you think it's I don't know. Do you think it's lesser? It'll bring in a lesser audience because of I mean, the NFL.
No, it's definitely not. Definitely
no,
not going to.
No Mahomes, no Lamar. There's not the big name quarterbacks that everybody talks about. The only ones in there this year are Jalen, Josh Allen, and Stafford. Everybody else is kind of.
I guarantee you, there's one thing I can guarantee about these playoffs: they will set television ratings records.
They always do
because they cooked the books.
Right. Real ratings or cooked books, Nielsen ratings.
Cooked books, Nielsen new big panel ratings. You will see record after record after record, and that's what people are paying for. So ultimately, what the real number is doesn't even matter. Perception becomes reality. It will be the highest viewed playoffs of all time. So no Mahomes will have no effect on that at all. No Taylor Swift, no effect at all. As far as legitimate, I do think it makes them more exciting. If you look at the AFC side, I think there's 5 teams that could win. It wouldn't surprise me. So that to me is exciting. NFC side, not quite as many. Really, I look at 3 teams, Eagles being one of them. But yeah, to me, it's more exciting when you have that uncertainty. And I don't know who's coming out of the AFC. I mean, I just picked the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's the best team. That ought to tell you something.
That tells me something. There's no doubt. All right, good stuff, everybody. We got about 20 minutes left to go. John, what's on the agenda for the Birds today, man?
Practice at about 2:15-ish, I believe. and open locker room 4:30ish. Yeah, and then you got one more practice on Friday, Saturday, walkthrough, Sunday, game day.
There you go. There you go. Good stuff. Appreciate everybody being here tonight. John, any interest for you in the college football playoff this weekend or tonight? It's tonight and tomorrow. Or are you out?
No, I mean I'll watch. Definitely I'll watch the final. I don't know if I'll watch these games depending on timing, but I didn't even know it was tonight, so I'm not
Miami
that into it.
Yeah. Miami, Ole Miss tonight.
I'm not that into it. I am rooting for Ole Miss just because of Lane Kiffin screwing them over.
Oh, I gotta go for Miami with Big Sills. I gotta ride for my boy Big Sills in Miami.
I just think it would be such a great story that he left to go win a national championship and they win the national championship. I think that is a phenomenal story. And I think Oregon's the best team, so we'll see if that holds up.
Yeah, I think Cignetti beats them, and Indiana. That Indiana team is disciplined and well coached. I tip my cap to Kurt Cignetti. All right, I thought he was maybe he'd get ahead of himself.
Well, any team, anytime Indiana's in this, he deserves a lot of credit.
Yeah, now he's getting money.
Now he's getting transfer portal kids. He's
getting money too. Mark Cuban,
that's why
getting them.
You just buy kids out of
money. I mean,
buying kids out of the transfer portal. But what a horrible situation. We have
it's so bad. They need a commissioner, dude. Make Nick Saban the commissioner. Come on. They got to clean it up to some extent. I mean, you can't just let it run wild here.
Yeah, it's not nearly as fun as it used to be.
And remember,
you have to look at. Like one semifinal is the Peach Bowl and one is the Fiesta Bowl.
Yes.
Like, who does anybody know that going into this? Other than
I'm a college football fan, but
I mean, what a
shitty.
It's a terrible setup. It's just terrible. The whole. I mean, I mean, think about bowl games that aren't in the college football player. Like, why do they still exist? What are we doing? It's guys don't play in them. Coaches leave. You got a team in the semifinals that doesn't have its coach or its coaches or half of his coach. You don't know who's coaching them from week to week. By the way, another emphasis of maybe you guys put too much emphasis on coaches. They're in the freaking semifinal and they don't know who's coaching them.
Program, John. That's where people shouldn't get it twisted if they win this year. Lane Kiffin did a lot for that program.
Talent. Yeah, he recruited well.
Yeah, well, that's what you need to do when you're at Ole Miss, and it's harder to recruit there.
But the point is the impact on the field, talent.
No, I agree with that point. I'm just saying, they didn't have that talent before Lane Kiffin got there. I mean, he found Trinidad Chambers.
I've always said, even more so than the NFL, college coaching is about recruiting. It's not about scheme. It's about recruiting.
Yeah, I agree.
About having better players than the other guy. And the best recruiters have the best teams. And now that's about money. So, see, like Nick Saban, look, you're an Alabama guy. Nick Saban's the best college coach, in my opinion, certainly of the modern era. I'm not going to go all time. I'm not going to go back to Newt Rockne and Bear Bryant.
Yeah.
But of the modern era, best college coach of all time. When things were even, he wasn't quite as good in the NFL. And things are pretty parity driven.
There's a lot of context to add to that, too.
Well, there is, but there is, and there isn't. I mean, it's a lot harder when you're not more talented than everybody else on your schedule.
Yeah, but you just said it. Talent matters. He didn't get the quarterback. That's what happened. Didn't have the talent.
Yeah, but you can't just in college. You can recruit a 4-star guy and his backup's a 4-star guy or a 5-star guy, and you can go like he did in the national champion, and he could bench
Yeah, but
Jalen
you can
Hurts and
say
go
the
to
same
2.
thing about NFL. I mean, you still need the talent. If you don't got the talent, you're not going to win the games.
Sure, but what I'm saying is the talent, you're never going to have that huge disparity in the NFL. You're going to have a disparity. You're going to have talented teams, less talented teams, but there's no giant. In college, the disparity is giant.
Giant. Literally massive. That's very true. I mean, everybody's debating
In
that.
the NFL, you're talking about from the best team to the worst team, you're talking about 5 to 10 players making the difference. And then at the bottom 43, you could say, take your top 10 Eagles. And so the other 43, trade them with the bottom 43 of the Tennessee Titans. It's going to be real close.
I know. You said that. That's such a good point, man. That the level of it's really the top 10 that makes the difference in NFL teams. It's a good point by you.